Hello everyone, this is Maureen and welcome to my crochet story where I share with you two things that I love, teaching and crochet. Today is my hat of the month and what I'm going to be showing you today is my, what I like to call rosebuds and ribbons. Now, the pattern is very easy to do and there's just so much that you can do to alter it to fit any hat size and use any yarn and any hook. Now, most of the stitches are just really half double crochet on the crown, single crochets, and then a unique little stitch cluster here that I kind of played around with and came up with that makes what I like to call just a little rosebud effect. And then we're going to finish it off with the crab stitch, which is my favorite for finishing off hats and beanies that don't really have a brim. But before we get into that, let me say thank you so much for all of you being here and taking the time to see what my little hat pattern is all about. If you are a returning subscriber, you know how much I greatly appreciate your time and your following. Now, if this is your first time here at my channel, thank you so much and welcome. I do hope that you enjoy this little tutorial, and I would ask that you take just a moment to look at the other content that I have already uploaded, and if you like what you see, please hit that little subscribe button down there in the corner, and then look for the bell with the little hugs on the side, and it'll let you know every time I upload content. Now, I would also like to ask that whenever you see any of my videos, please consider sharing them out because, you know, number one, it does help the channel, and number two, there might be somebody else out there that would like to see a unique hat pattern or might like to hear a little bit of yarny chit-chatting that I do on Saturdays, might be interested in doing some show lock or some amigurumis. You just never know. So I would greatly appreciate any time that you are willing to share out one of my videos. So let's talk about the little rosebud and ribbon hat. Now, I did make this with a 4-way acrylic, which I'll tell you more about here in just a few minutes. I also used a J hook, but again, like I said, you can use any you could use cotton if you wanted to. You could use acrylic. You could use acrylic blends. You can use a 3-way. You can use a 4-way. The only thing you need to know is the circumference of the head and how long you want the beanie. That's the other nice thing about this pattern is that the more rosebud rows and little ribbon sections here that I like to call them with the single crochets that you make, the slouchier the hat gets. So see? Lots and lots of different ways in which to use the pattern. So if you're ready to get started, or if you just want to watch the video and see if it's something that interests you, give me just a minute, look for the little intermission sign, and I'll join you here and we'll get started building this little rosebud and ribbon beanie. See you in a minute. Alright, so for this hat pattern, I'm going to be using, this is some ombre from Red Heart Super Savers. It is a blue ombre, as you can see. I'm sorry I don't have the band that goes with it, but it is a 4 medium weight worsted yarn. You can wash it and dry it in the washer and dryer. I believe this particular skein came with 452 yards on it, and as you can see, I've already used just a little bit of it. So I'm going to go ahead and use some more of it, and we're going to use it to make this hat. Now, you do not have to use a 4-weight. You can use a 3-weight. You do not have to make it as large as I'm going to make it. That's what's really nice about this hat. You know, it's very adaptable. I will be using one of my Furls hook. This is a size J, and are a 6.0 millimeter. So if you're ready to get started, we are going to first start the crown. So you can either chain 4 to get your crown started and join it into a slip stitch, or you can use the magic ring. I'm going to use the magic ring, but let me bring my camera back down here real quick. Get her focused in. I believe that's about right. Let me move my camera over a little more. Get her squared up as much as possible here. Alright, that's about as good as it's going to get. Okay, to make a magic ring, I just cross in the back, parallel lines in the front, and I go under the first loop and hook the second loop, pull it through. I twist my yarn and then I pick up this loop here and pull it through to give me a chain 1. Now I just noticed a piece of hair there a minute ago. Hopefully I got it off. Alright, now into the magic ring we are going to put, no, there it is. Sorry folks, but that hair is just going to bother me and I don't want it into my hat. There we go. So into this magic ring we're going to do 12 half double crochets. Now remember that this loop on your hook is just your working loop. It's not for anything else. So in order to make a half double crochet, remember we yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, and then we yarn over, pull through all 3. That is our first half double crochet. We're going to do that again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's 2. This is 3, 4, and as I said, I want you to put 12 in there, and I'll be back with you here in just a moment. Alright, I have my 12 double crochets, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this, 12 half double crochets, and I'm going to take my tail here, I'm going to hold on to the beginning, and I'm just going to pull it so that it pulls my ring tight. Now I'm not going to cinch it all the way up just yet. I'm going to go ahead now and slip stitch into this first half double crochet. Now if you want to make sure that you've got your 12, you just come back and count your little tops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's our first one. I'm just going to go put my hook right in there for the moment. Move my tail back and slip stitch right into that beginning, or that very first half double crochet, chain 1 and pull up. Now I'm going to go ahead and hold my magic ring, and I'm just going to go ahead and cinch it on up. There you go. Makes a nice tight little circle there. That's the reason why I like using the magic ring. Now as I said, you could go ahead and do your chain 4, slip into the first chain, and then do your 12 half double crochets, and it'll tighten it up as well. I just have come to like this method a lot better. Alright, so let's get this back on our hook. I've already chained 1. Now you know the process, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it with you. We're going to go right back into this very first stitch here, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets because we're making an increase. We want to make the circle bigger. And we're going to do that all the way around. So our first row had 12 half double crochets. This next one will have 24. So there's my 2. Here is 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and we'll just do that all the way around until we come back to the beginning. Alright, I'll meet you back there in just a moment. Alright, I have 24 of my half double crochets, and again I'm going to come right back here at this beginning stitch, and I'm just going to slip stitch and whoops, there we go. Now you're going to find as you're working that this little center here is going to open up, and that's okay because we can at the very end go back and tie, slip stitch it through our back side here to close it up permanently. But don't become alarmed if your little hole starts opening up as you're working with it, and that's okay. Alright, I'm going to chain one. I'm going to do another increase row, except this time, let me pull out some yarn here. This time we're going to go into the first stitch with one half double crochet, and then into the next stitch we'll do our increase, which is 2. Then we'll do 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. And since we started with 12 in the first row, we doubled it to go 24. So that means we're going to increase again by 12, which means by the end of this row we should have 36 stitches. So I've already chained one, going right back into this very first stitch here where we did our join. So there's one, and in the next stitch we're going to put 2 half double crochets. There's one, and there is 2. I'm going to do that again. 1, and then 2 in the next to give us our increase. Again, 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. And you're going to do that all the way around. And before you attach back to your very first stitch, you be sure and count and make sure that you have 36 stitches. And I'll meet you right back here in just a moment. Alright, I've completed my third row of increases. I have 36 half double crochets, and so now I'm ready to tie in, slip stitch into my very first stitch, and we're going to do another round of increases. This time we're going to do a half double crochet in the first 2 stitches and then double up on the third. So over 3 stitches we're going to put 4 stitches. So we're going to go 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2 all the way around, meaning that we're going to add another 12 stitches to this row, which means we're going to go then from 36 to 48. So here we go. I'm going to chain 1, going right back into this stitch, putting my first half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then in this third stitch we're going to put 2 half double crochets. So there's, whoops, there's 1, and there is 2. I'm going to do that again. In the next stitch we're going to just put 1. In the next stitch we'll just put 1. And in the next stitch we're going to put 2. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. And we'll do that all the way around. Well, I lost that stitch. Alright, and I'll meet you back around in just a moment. Alright, I've got my 48 stitches on here, getting ready to slip stitch back into my first stitch here. And we're going to do another round of increases. Now you might notice it kind of trying to curl up on the edge a little bit, but that's okay. It's going to flatten out here in just a little bit. Getting some more yarn here. Alright, and we're we're going to do an increase again. We have 48. We're going to add one more round, and then we're going to measure our crown, because I want my crown to be about 6 inches, and that will determine whether I need to do another one after this one. So we're getting ready to add another 12, which means then we're going to go from 48 to 60 stitches. And we're going to do that this time by going back into our first stitch and making a half double crochet. And then into the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet, and into the next stitch we'll do a half double crochet, and then in this fourth stitch here we're going to put 2 half double crochets. So it's going to be 1 1 1 1 and 2, 1 1 1 and 2, 1 1 1 and 2. All right, so here we go. Get my yarn back on here. See, I need to chain and go right back into my beginning stitch here with 1 half double crochet, and then we'll go into the next stitch with just 1 half double crochet and into the third stitch. So 1 half double crochet into the first 3 stitches, and then we'll increase in the fourth. So this time we're going to put 5 stitches, or we're going to increase with 5 over 4 stitches. Alright, so 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then 2 in the fourth one. Lacey, no. Come on, back up. Sorry about that. So here we go. We have 1 1 1, oops, and 2 in the same stitch. Again, 1 1 1 and then 2 half doubles in the next stitch. And you're going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet you again right back here in just a moment. Alright, so I have completed my last round of increases. We should have 60 stitches, and I'm going to measure across here real quick because I want it to be 6 inches. So measuring through the center, it is just a little bit shy of 6 inches. Now yours might be a little bit different, it just depends. If you're using a smaller hook, I would, or say a 3-weight yarn, I would just say that you want the crown to be 6 inches. So if you're using a smaller hook, you may have to do one more round of increases. If you're using a smaller hook and a smaller weight, such as a 3-weight, then you're going to need to make one more round for sure. Now this is for an adult size head, but if you're using the 3-weight and a smaller hook for a child's head, then you won't have to make any more increases. But this is for an adult size head, so you want it to be around 6 inches across the crown. So I have met my requirement there, so I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch here into my first stitch, and as I said, we've just completed our increase round. Now what we're going to do is for the next 3 rounds we are going to just put single crochets around. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, come back, join in our first slip stitch with a slip stitch, chain 1, do another round of single crochets, no increases, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and do that again. So we're going to do 3 rounds of single crochets, and I'll meet you at the end of the 3rd round. So I've already joined, chain 1, going right back into that stitch and making a single crochet. I'm going through both loops of my stitch, not the front loop or the back loop, and I'm just making single crochets. And what you're going to find is that you're going to start seeing that little bit of curvature that we have that's natural, you know, right off the crown of our head. And that's what you're going to see here with the top of your hat. You're going to start falling off that crown, and it's going to start bringing, you know, it's going to start making that nice little curve down. So I will see you after 3 rounds of single crochets. See you in a few minutes. Alright, I have just completed my 3rd round of single crochets. Now what we're going to do is we're going to join our round by slip stitching back into our first stitch here. And we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to turn our work. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 double crochets together, but I do this a little bit differently to make this little rosebud cluster. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over, and we're going to go right back into this joining stitch here, pull up a loop. Now you're going to just yarn over and go through the very first loop there and keep 3 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over, go into the very next stitch, pull up a loop, and do the same thing again. You're going to yarn over and just go through that very first loop, giving you 5 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to go through all 5 loops. Now you're going to find this middle loop here when we did just the went through 1 loop. You're going to find it a little hard at first to go through, but you just have to wiggle your hook through there, and then you're going to chain 1, and then in the next stitch we're going to put a single crochet. And then when you turn around and look over here, it makes this little rosebud for you. Alright, so let's do that again. Yarn over, start to make a half double crochet, except just pull your loop through the first loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Then we're going to go into the very next single crochet, yarn over, and we're going to do that again. Pull up a loop and only pull through the first loop there. You have 5 loops on your hook, and then just work your hook through all 5 loops. Lock it down with a chain. In the next stitch we'll do a single crochet, and we're going to do that all the way around. Do it again. Loop over, pull up a loop, just go through the first loop, yarn over, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, go through the first loop, 5 loops on your hook, and then work through all 5 loops. Chain 1 and single crochet. Alright, see your little rosebuds there? It's a little hard. There they are. Alright, do it with you one more time, then I'm going to turn you loose. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just go through that first loop, and you still have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first loop, still 5 loops on your hook, and then come through all of them, yarn over, do a chain 1, and then single crochet into the next stitch. Alright, and I will meet you back around here at the end of the row, and I'll show you how we're going to join the row. Alright, you should have ended up with a single crochet in your last stitch before we're ready to join the round. And we're going to do that with a slip stitch into this very first rosebud that we created. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put one single crochet in every stitch around. So single crochet back into our joined stitch, single crochet into that single crochet that we just made, single crochet into our chain 1, single crochet into the top of our rosebud stitch, single crochet into the single crochet, single crochet into the chain 1 stitch, single crochet into the top of our rosebud stitch, and we will do that all the way around. And I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Alright, I've made it just back around, but I stopped here because I wanted you to see that you have your last single crochet here, your chain 1 that you tied down, and then don't forget this loop right here. Single crochet into that, and then join with a slip stitch into the first single crochet. Now you're going to do 2 more rounds of single crochets, and then we'll come back and do another round of our little rosebud stitch here. Alright, so I'll meet you back around at the end of 2 more rows of single crochets. Alright, I have finished my 3 rounds or my 2 additional rounds of single crochets. Lacey, stop. No. And so we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. I'm going to turn mine wrong side out. It makes it easier for me. And we're going to do another row of the little rosebuds. So we're going to yarn over, go right back into that joining stitch, pull up a loop, and pull through the first loop. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, go through the first loop, and then go through all 5 and chain 1. And we're going to do it again. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to get the single crochet into the next stitch, and then do it all over again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first loop, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, chain 1, and then single crochet into the next stitch, just like we did before. And continue making your little rosebud stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you back right here in just a minute. Alright, I just finished the round with my single crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch right back up here at the top of our little rose stitch. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, which means I'm going to turn this right side out again. Start seeing the cute little rows of little rosebud stitch there. And remember, now we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, including the chain 1 and the rosebud stitch itself, single crochet in each stitch around, join, and then I want you to do 3 more. Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute. So let's just go ahead and get this first round of single crochets done. So go right back into your stitch that you slip stitched into and working around. Yeah, there's the slip stitch, the chain one, and then there is the top of the rosebud. Here is our single crochet. Here is our chain one, and sorry about that, and there is the top of our rosebud. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you right back here at the beginning, and I'll tell you what we're going to do for the rest of the body of the hat. See you back in just a minute. Alright, so I have come around, finished out my 1 row of single crochets after the little rosebud stitch. We're going to add 2 more rounds of single crochets. Then I want you to repeat 1 more row of the rosebud stitch and 3 rows of single crochets, and then we will finish off the rest of the hat. We came off the crown with 3 single crochets and the rosebud stitch, 3 single crochets, rosebud stitch. We're now going to have again 3 rows of single crochets, 1 more row of the rosebud stitch, and then 3 more rows of the single crochet. Then I'll meet you back at the end of that set of stitches, and I'll show you how we'll finish off the hat. Alright, so your pattern always looks a lot different when you write it than whenever you actually put it together. So in my pattern writing, I had allowed for 3 rows of the little rosebud stitch along with these little sections of 3 double crochets. Well, whenever I measured it out, it wasn't quite long enough. So I went back and added another row of the, let's see if I can get that to lock out. Here we go. I added 1 more row, giving me 4 rows of the little rosebuds and 4 rows of the single crochets. Now, I only did 2 rows of single crochets here, giving me 60 stitches each, because now I want to do 1 round of single crochets with just a little bit of a decrease, and then I'm going to finish it off with a crab stitch to give it just a little bit of character there at the end. Now you don't have to do that. You can just finish this out with a 3rd row of single crochets and leave it as it is, but I want mine to fit just a little bit tight as it falls down and covers up my ears. Now, like I said, you don't have to do that, but I do want you to know that I have 4 rows of the rosebuds and then 4 of these single crochet sections. So I've already completed the 2 rounds of the single crochets here at the bottom, and now I'm going to do a decrease of single crochets. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease this top here by 12 stitches. So that means that I'm going to crochet 5, and then in the 6th stitch, so no, that'll be 10. In the 6th stitch, 6th and 7th stitch, I'm going to do a decrease. So I've already connected and done my chain 1, so I'm going to go right back into this beginning stitch, do a single crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'm going to do a decrease stitch. And the way I decrease my single crochets is in the first one, I'll go in the front loop, and in the next one I'll go in the back loop, pull up a loop, and then close off. This way you really don't see that big bulky decrease that we normally find. Two, you don't hardly notice that you've pulled 2 stitches together. So I'm going to do that again. That took those 2, so I'm coming over here. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me turn my hat around here a little bit. I'm going to do another decrease. Front loop of the first single crochet and the back loop of the next one, and then just finish out my single crochet. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Single crochet 5 and then decrease. Alright, and then I'll meet you back around at the beginning in just a moment. Alright, so I've come back around and I have now slip stitched into my beginning stitch, and I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. Now, if you're like me, I ended up with about 3 stitches here at the end that didn't have enough to finish out 5 and decrease, but that's okay. So, now, you can stop here if you wish, but for myself, I'm going to put a little bit of decorative edge on here, and I'm going to do that by using the crab stitch. Now, if you remember, the crab stitch is just simply single crochets worked backwards. Now, as I said, if you're ready, you can just tie off right now and weave in your ends and be done. But as I said, for myself, I like to finish off some of my hats, not all of them, but ones like this that don't really have an official brim on them. I do like to put something there, you know, towards the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and work my crab stitch all the way around. And as I said, that's just working your single crochets going backwards. And it gives it this little nice little twisted rope edge, I guess is what you could call it. But it gets its name the crab stitch because you're crawling backwards just like a crab does. I shouldn't say we're crawling, we're crocheting, aren't we? So you just reach back behind you, go through that stitch, and single crochet. And see, it gives it just a nice little textured edge there. It makes it kind of pretty. So I will continue and meet you back around here, and then we'll talk about finishing up. See you in a minute. Alright, I am here at the end, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the first. Let's see, where is it? There she is. Oh, I said that's her. There she is. Alright. Sometimes it's hard to find that first one. I just lost my. Let me see where I can come in here. There she is, right there. Alright. Sometimes you have to go hunting. There we go. Slip stitch. Well, tighten up attention here. There we go. Pull that all the way through. There we go. And now I'm ready to tie this off if I can find my scissors. Anchor that down. Get my needle here. And we will thread that up. There we go. Come in here on the inside, tighten that down, and then we're just going to find us some loops to go through. Pull that knot down in there. There we go. And let's see. Just find us a little space here. Well, she's just going to be stubborn, so we're just going to pick up a few. And then I'm going to work back this way. I normally like to go at least back and forth 3 or 4 times. But you can tie off and weave in your ends however you feel comfortable. And let's see, let's go through here. And then I think I'll go back just one more time. And there we go. I'm going to come back here on the inside of my hat because I know I've got this one here to take care of. Alright, I'm going to make sure that that is tightened down as good as I can get it. Alright, I'm going to back up a stitch or two, and I'm just going to come in with these loops here. And then just like I did on the bottom, I'm just going to go back and forth. And I think that's good enough. It'll leave me a little bit of a tail because up here at the top it does tend to stretch out a little bit. And so there she is. I hope you have stayed with me this far. Let me raise this up a little bit. So there she is. I hope that you can see the cute little rosebuds there that are sticking up. I hope that you have enjoyed the tutorial on this little rosebud and ribbon hat. I think it turned out really cute. Not real fancy, but be a nice little hat to wear with a pair of jeans or a little blue jean jacket. Of course, I'm saying that because this is in blues, but you know you can do it in any color. You can come back and add a pom-pom if you'd like. Like I've always said, I'm not a pom-pom girl, but anyway. And again, you can make this out of any size yarn. Use any hook size. I just happen to like using the 4-weight and an I or a J, and this one just happened to be made with a J. So please leave me some comments down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the little hat, and tell me what color you might make yours out of. So until next time, be the light out there in the darkness for someone today, because you never know, could be your light they're waiting to see. As always, I love you guys. Bye.